video, I'm going to talk about 4 different ways you can grow your nightclub event so that you can get more heads through the door. Because you either pay for things in time or you pay for them in money. And this decision-making matrix is going to let you choose exactly where you should start given where you are. Doesn't matter if you're just starting out, you haven't started an event. Doesn't matter if you've been doing this for years, it will tell you the best next step. And it's only 2 yes or no questions you need to ask yourself so you can dramatically grow and scale your nightclub event, music or festival and take it to the next level without umming and ahhing and just repeating the same thing and doing this, getting the same result. It's a little bit akin to, you know, when you accidentally unplug a USB from a CDJ and then it goes into an emergency loop and you don't actually realize for a couple seconds. And so the purpose of this video is to take you out of emergency loop, stop you doing the same thing so that you can replug the USB in, figure out where you're at, and then move on to the next event. So you're either paying your money or you're paying your time. And we can make this in a simple yes or no question. The first question is, do we have lots of money? Do we have the budget? In that case, we can go down the paid route. If we don't, we need to go to free. Second question is, do we have lots of time? Or do we not have lots of time? If we don't have time, but we have budget, we can do ads. If we have lots of time and lots of budget, we can do promoters, because promoters takes time, and then also you had to pay them on a pay per performance model. I'll talk about at the end of this video some different incentive schemes that you can use. If you have lots of time, but we don't have any money, we need to do organic content, because it's going to take time to film it, it's going to take time to edit it, it's going to take time to post it, and you're going to have to keep posting it again and again and again, posting frequently. I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of each of these in a moment. If we need something free and we fucking run out of time, we need to do owned lists. We can only really do owned lists if we've done a couple events in the past or if we've built a couple of launches in the past. So we can't start here. You can't start with like let's say you're doing your first event, like, I don't have time or money. Pick a different industry. Typically what will happen is when you're starting as a promoter, you have lots of time. So we're probably going to start somewhere on this end. If we've got lots of time and no money, we're just going to start with organic content. Now, I'd advise that you start with this and this, because this one's just going to take your time to make it. And this one, you only really had to pay for it when they actually perform. So for example, I'll talk about some examples at the end. It could be a drink token for each person that the person that your promoter brings, but the venue pays for the drink token and is paid the next week. So for example, if Sally brings 10 people this week, she gets 10 drink tokens next week. That also builds recurring attendance in your promoters as well. So typically we'll start at this and then we will graduate to these, because eventually you'll tap out your promoters and you'll start running out of time. And like me, your social battery burns out in your mid-20s and you don't want to have to keep talking to strangers and building out your network and managing promoters because you're 24 and all these kids like 18 and 19 and you have nothing to talk about. And so you start throwing money at Mark Zuckerberg so you can just show the ads to loads and loads of strangers on the internet. And then as a result of that, you can start building your own list. And that means you can start dialing back your ad spend a little bit and dialing up your nurture sequences. The pros of organic content is obviously it's going to build a far more engaged audience, because consider when you see an ad as opposed to when you find something organically, you'll build a greater affinity with something that you found organically because you know that they didn't have to just like donate money to Facebook to show this content to you. And it also popped up in their algorithm, so it means that your targeting is bang on. One of the downsides is it just takes so much time. There's a lot of, and especially if you haven't done it before as well, so head up. So if you haven't done it before, the testing and the trialing, it's really a volume game at the start. You had to make a lot of different posts and get a statistically significant sample size of data, see what works and what doesn't work, and keep reiterating and keep posting. So it takes quite a lot of time. Promoters, pros of the promoters is, like I was saying, they're paid per performance. So if someone doesn't perform, no one brings anyone, you're not out of pocket any money. The cons is managing the team, recruiting them. Typically what happens is, this happens a lot at the start actually with a lot of the promoters I've talked to, and at CCC, there'll be a link in the description, is they go, oh, I've got 5 promoters. And I go, one of them worked out, didn't he? You go, yeah. And so you need to really build out a promoter team, because everyone exists on a normally distributed bell curve, right? Like this is really good, this is really bad, and then that's the median. Right? If you get 5, there's just gonna be one dude that's doing really well, right? It's always the 80-20 principle. And so just make the 20%, like 20% of your promoters are gonna bring 80% of the people. And so just make the 20% larger. Just fucking get like 50 if you can, because then at least like 10 of them will work out really well. And if 10 of them bring 10 people each, that's 100 people on top of the probably 30 or 40 that will come from the rest of the group. So recruit as many promoters as you can. Downside is you've got to spend a lot of time managing them, tracking their performance. The promoters start fucking each other, it gets weird, the group chat gets heated, it's just annoying. Pros of owned lists: you can start selling tickets before the event's even fucking announced. I've talked about a case study before where we spent 86 $87 on text message credits and did $20,000 in ticket sales because we had a list of people that had previously purchased. Acquiring customers and patrons is really expensive and really time consuming. Once someone's in the door and once they've come a couple of times, it's really easy to resell to them. And that's where your own list has really come in clutch, because you can launch events and sell 20% of the tickets in the first day just by hitting up your list. The downside are it takes time and it takes effort to build this list and manage them correctly. I'll put a link, I think it will be in our school community or will be in the description of this event, so you can steal my high level templates so you can build out nurture sequences to build out these lists. Like I've said time and time again, I'll take one person's phone number over 10 people's emails any day of the week. So building your own list. But the downside is you can't start here. I'll have promoters ask me sometimes, oh, can I get this web tool to scrape lists or scrape phone numbers from Instagram? Don't do it, because the unsolicited SMS, it's not going to work at all. They're just going to get annoyed. Your phone number is going to get banned. Upside of ads is it's super high leverage. I've been using ads for my own agency that I filmed in 2021, and they're still printing money for me because the economics of how many dollars I spend is just way less than the money that prints in the bank account at the other side. Downside of ads is it's really easy to do them wrong, especially if you do it at the start, because often promoters will come in or they'll look at their ad accounts and they've got their campaign conversions wrong, or the targeting's wrong, maybe the ad creator's really mediocre. They just don't understand the systems and the processes. So if you want help with this stuff, again, join Club Cult Creators in the link in the description. I do calls and you can post in there and get my help directly, as well as the help of other club promoters in our network all over the globe. And so you can actually run your ads profitably. Super high leverage, but really easy to waste money at the start. And so if you don't want to waste money at the start, click the link in the description so I'd make sure that you don't, because I can just look at your campaign and go, no, change that there. So finding promoters to build your team as a nightclub promoter is one of the common questions that we get. And I have a video on it previously, but I'll touch on it now. The first place you can look at is just your own friend network. They're the easiest to recruit. The second place you can look at is the friends of your friends. They're going to be basically a touch point away from you. The benefit of that too is you'll no longer limit your nightclub event to just your own personal circle. You'll branch out to your friends' circles. The third place you can look is the loyal patrons of your club. You should know this because you should be hanging out at your event that you actually run. Look at all the familiar faces that are coming through. Look at all the people that are coming in groups, and just go up and talk to them throughout the night and just offer them like, hey, you guys are here a lot. You just want to get paid to be here. Start talking through these incentive models, have a conversation with them, and then they'll bring their friends, and they're the easiest people to sell to. And the next question you'll get after that is, well, how do I incentivize these people? Biggest mistake most people make, and they come to me, is they put them on a salary or some kind of fixed pay scheme. Don't ever do that. It takes away all of their incentive to perform. The best incentive models are pay per performance. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Best way to do this is partner with the venue and say, hey, I want to incentivize my promoters the most. What can we reach that's mutually beneficial? So for example, it could be a drink token per head they brought through the door. So let's say, for example, Sally brings 10 people, or then the week afterwards, they would get drink tokens, 10 drink tokens, and make it the week after, because it gives them incentive to come back the next week rather than just on the night and then fuck off to some competitor the next week. Another mechanic you can introduce as well is, if the venue's like, I'm not bringing them a drink token for every single person they bring, is introduce thresholds. So let's say Sally brought 10 people, but the threshold is 5. Well, she only gets 5 drink tokens the next week. And if Tom brought 3 people, well, he doesn't get any drink tokens because he didn't hit his threshold of 5. Measuring the effectiveness of your promoters is one of the things I geeked out the most on, so I'm really good at. And plus, super autistic, so I fucking love Google Sheets. Build out a Google Sheet that just measures every single promoter every single week based on your KPIs and your incentive model. So it might be heads through the door, it might be ticket sales, it might be discount codes used, things like that. And then what this gives you as well, is I've spoken about this so many different times, is after you've got about a month's worth of data, you can export it into a bar graph, drop it into the chat. I can almost fucking guarantee you they'll probably close to double their performance, because it'll give them transparency into their performance against every other promoter. So once you graduate from organic content to paid advertising, one of the big common mistakes I see is people just go for page-like campaigns, or they hit the brand awareness campaign. We pretty much always want to go for the jugular. We want some kind of meaningful conversion. So for example, if you're trying to sell tickets, just go for landing page views and conversion. We're not doing brand awareness or anything like that, right? If it's in a Facebook event, we want to get people responding to the Facebook event. If we want them on a waiting list, we want to be collecting their numbers and their emails and things like that. One of the common things people tell me is, I want to build brand awareness. Yeah, sure. We can build brand awareness while we collect meaningful conversion points, collecting ticket sales, collecting contact details. All of that will happen in congruity with building your brand awareness. So just go for the jugular all day long. General rule of thumb when coming up with your advertising budgets is take sell out ticket sales as revenue and then multiply it by 5 to 10%. 5% if you're like, I've got the fucking best headline act ever. 10% is like, there's nothing really that special about this thing. I just want some people to rock up. So let's say, for example, if you sell out, it's $10,000 in ticket sales, but you've got a really good headliner, probably looking at about a $500 budget. If it's $10,000 and there's like fuck all going on, you're probably looking at about a $1,000 budget. Again, broad brush statement, as long as you're putting those advertising dollars into the right campaigns with good ads and good conversion points, that general rule of thumb will serve you well. To attract club goers, best advertising platforms would be TikTok and Meta, so Meta being Facebook and Instagram. TikTok will give you lots and lots and lots of impressions, but very few conversions and ticket sales. Their pixel really sucks at the moment. It will get better later. Facebook and Instagram will give you really good conversion data. So typically a lot of my conversion stuff is happening on Instagram. A lot of my brand awareness stuff is happening on TikTok. One of the best ways to utilize organic social media to build your club event is start building communities. Do this thought experiment. Someone, ideally your ideal customer, should be able to scroll through your Instagram feed and understand that, this person is talking directly to me. This isn't just a broad vanilla event. They need to understand the inside jokes, all of the components of the culture of the people that are attending your event. They need to be able to scroll for every single post and go, yep, that's for me, that's for me, that's for my tribe of people. And then that community building will build engagement, because that's when people consider, when do you send something to your friend? It's when you relate to it, right? And so what you want to do is be able to build relatability. Some creative content ideas. What's really popping off at the moment is all this interview stuff, interviewing people out the front of the club, interviewing DJs in the green room, gives people a little bit of an insight into the culture of your event. And you get some real, I'm not going to reference the thing, but you might go viral and then have an agent because you made a joke about spitting on someone's dick. One of the ways that you can build excitement and engage with your attendees and your patrons and your punters online on your social media campaigns is firstly responding to comments. People really like when brands respond to their comments, especially if you have a witty comeback. If you're not funny though, don't try and pull this off. You'll just get fucking roasted. However, it will build more engagement. And if you start arguments, all PR is good PR. Secondly, what you can do is start building messenger bot campaigns. So if someone comments a specific keyword on one of your Instagram or your Facebook posts, they'll get DM'd a secret link to find out the venue for the secret event. There's two of the best ways you can start building your own lists for your events. Firstly, the most obvious one is your ticket sales. Now, add a form field question to your ticket checkout pages that collects their phone numbers so you can start putting them into a CRM system. The CRM system you could easily use is high level. I have a template. If you check the description, you can steal my template so you can build out your own CRM system and start building your own SMS campaigns. We recently did a campaign where we spent $86 on text message credit and did $20,000 in ticket sales simply because we had a bunch of people's phone numbers. And so, like I've said in previous videos, I'd take one person's phone number over 10 people's emails any day of the week. So you need to be collecting people's phone numbers and building them. And again, if you check the description, there should be a link to steal our high-level templates if there isn't a video on my YouTube already, or you could also join my school community if you need help setting it up. Communication, especially for events via email and SMS, should be relatively few and far in between. People hate being spammed already, and so you don't want to be put in the same box as Domino's that's fucking texting me every Sunday trying to get me to break my goddamn diet when I'm meant to be in a calorie deficit. So consider that the quantity of communication that they receive will amplify the value. If you get a text message from someone every single day, you don't really value that communication as much. But if you suddenly out of nowhere get the first ever text message from a promoter and the offer absolutely slaps, you're more likely to get a positive response from it. The content that you should include in your attendance should always be going for a conversion. So you don't want to be just telling people about things, you want to give them inside offers. There should be a very specific benefit to being on the list. And what that means is you need to give them offers that aren't advertised publicly anywhere. Access to early bird tickets, which are the cheapest ever. Access to inside information on who the act is. There should be real value in receiving a text from someone that they can't go to your Instagram or your TikTok and find out themselves.